first and foremost want to give honor and praise unto Yah, the creator and maker of heaven and earth. Wanted to go over a subject matter. It is concerning the fact that there were people saying that the ancient Egyptians have the best knowledge and everything about them was like the ultimate truth and so forth and so on. And I'm gonna make two videos. I entitled this video here The Takedown Part 1B, an Israelite response. And the Egyptian god of fertility was called Min. And I have a book here entitled The Gods and Symbols of Ancient Egypt by Manfred Lurker. And in this book here on page 80, concerning Min, we read the following. Min was a god of fertility, represented in human form, and his attributes were the following. Legs placed tight together like those of a mummy, erect phallus, a flail above his arm, which was raised stiffly, with his hand extended to one side, a skull cap on his head, with two lofty plumes, and two streamers hanging down the back. Now, one of the things I wanted to sit there and talk about, it distinctly says that Min was one of, or the fertility god in ancient Egypt. One of the things to point out, brothers and sisters, is a picture that they actually have from ancient Egypt concerning this. And we see it right here. This here is a picture of Min. And that right there is supposed to be the erect phallus, which they say is the symbol of fertility. And the next thing we see here is a male. I'm gonna leave that one alone. But in discussing this kind of thing with people, they were saying that men were supposed to be the representation of fertility for the woman or to the woman. Now, I will attempt to show, brothers and sisters, that that is a poor representation of such. And here's the reason why. Due to the definition of it. Fertility means the quality of being fertile, the ability to conceive children. Having an erect penis is not a sign that you're able to conceive children. The sign that you're able to conceive children is the fact that a child has been conceived. Let's go over this again. Fertility, the quality of being fertile. Now, let's read the definition of fertile. Producing abundantly, able to produce young. Brothers and sisters, now, not trying to be funny or anything of that sort, but this here is not showing what being fertile is. That is showing an erection. That doesn't mean that one is fertile. That right there is a picture of the Egyptian god Min from ancient Egypt. Now, we're going to go over some definitions and get into some science. Let's do this again. Fertility, the quality of being fertile, the ability to conceive children. Fertile, producing abundantly, able to produce young. Fertilize, to make fertile, pollination, impregnating. So when you fertilize something, you're making it fertile. And in certain cases, it's done by pollination, like with certain plants and flowers, and impregnating, as in the case with animals and humans. Conceive, to become pregnant with, to become pregnated. Conception, being conceived in the womb. Pregnant, having unborn offspring in uterus. Uterus, organ in the lower body part of the female where offspring are conceived. Now, I wanted to sit there and explain something, brothers and sisters, because fertility, brothers and sisters, and being fertile is shown by the product of it. Showing an erect penis is not the way to sit there and show fertility. let's get into, if we will, another definition of the word fertility, right? Because we want to sit there and explain that we're not just going off the top of our head. Fertility, the ability to conceive children or young. Now, let's remember, brothers and sisters, I know it's the same definition. I did that on purpose. Conceiving is done inside of the female. It's not done inside of the male. Now, I have a book here on science and reproductive systems. It's called The Human Body, a Family Reference Guide. And I'm going to read just a couple of parts of this book, right? So that way we can gain understanding so people won't think somebody's just going off the top of their head. Part of this book says, under the title, From Zygote to Embryo, The Origin of Sex and Life, it says the male sexual apparatus. The testicles or male sexual glands lie below the pelvis within a structure called the scrotum. It is there that sperm, the mobile sex cells, are produced. During sexual intercourse, these cells, if they reach the female vaginal canal, head toward the egg so that one of them may fertilize it. Let's remember, it distinctly says that one of those sperm cells and sperm coming out of the male, it goes to fertilize the egg. Now, let's remember that. The sexual organs of the woman, with the exception of the vulva, which is external, the female sexual apparatus lies completely inside the abdominal cavity, that is to say, the inside of her, where it is supported and protected by the pelvis. Its basic shape is that of a cavity formed by the vagina and the uterus. The ovaries produce the eggs or sex cells and hormones. Periodically, a mature egg leaves the ovary and installs itself in the uterus. This is referred to as ovulation. There, if it has not been fertilized in the fallopian tube, the body will expel it naturally together with the residues, and this is referred to as menstruation. So with the residue of the endometrium within the female, she has what they refer to as menstruation, the monthly. And on a side note, for any females that may be listening to this, if you're going and dealing with cramps during that time, one of the things that females that I know do, they take certain herbs for that. And you can read about that in a book called Prescription for Nutritional Healing by Balch, Balch. It's a book that you can order online. Getting back to the point of this, if you remember, it distinctly speaks about this happening within what is called the fallopian tubes. Fertilization happens inside of the fallopian tubes. Now I want to sit there and show a picture about something. This here is the male organ, the male gamete, sex cell, which is the sperm. And it goes through, and then it meets up with the egg, fallopian tube, uterus, cervix, and the actual thing was that we call the vagina itself. And you see where it points at. So fertilization happens inside of the female. So the point in that, brothers and sisters, is because it distinctly shows that it is impossible for an image of an erect penis itself to be a sign of fertilization. Therefore, you can't show that as a sign, a god even, an idol of fertility. But when you creating your own gods and making your own idols, you can sit there and have it say whatever you want it to say because you're the creator of it. So this is why some people try to get argumentative and defensive and so forth and so on, because they're saying this represents this represents this. But in actuality, the way all human beings come into the earth, regardless of whatever race or nationality you are, it still goes into the same process. All right. Now, fertilization on page 72 of here says the following. Fertilization occurs in the upper part of the fallopian tube. Now, we already shown earlier that the fallopian tube is inside the female. So now, going over the definition of fertile, fertilize, and fertility again. The quality of being fertile is the definition of fertility. The ability to conceive children. The only way you can show that a child has been conceived is the actual conceived child. You have to show a product. You understand? Fertile, producing abundantly, able to produce young. Where is the young that men had in the Egyptian pantheon? Fertilize, to make fertile, pollination, impregnating. This is what happens, brothers and sisters, dealing with idols. Certain things can never be answered to or responded to properly because you're creating your own gods. You see, this is why idolatry was frowned on in the nation of Israel, because it leads you to all kinds of weird things. You understand? Let me give you an example of what I mean when I say in weird things. Brothers and sisters, please explain this here. This here, once again, is a picture of Men, the Egyptian god. Can we please explain where this individual's hand is at? But they want to sit there and tell you that that's a sign and a god of fertility. Where's the woman at? Where's the fallopian tube? If it's pollination, where wind blows certain things from one flower into the next, where is it at? Where is the other gender? Where's the XX chromosome? If we're speaking in sign terms, there is none. But what you do see, brothers and sisters, inside the Egyptian pantheon, and I don't mean to be funny in saying this, you see men pictured as we see here, with him there, that thing erect there, and next to him is a male. This is the Ankh, which is the Egyptian symbol of life. Where's the female? For the males who sit there and get offended or want to sit there and try to talk whatever they care to say, I ask you as a brother, when they sit there and state, well, you know, it's not for the males. I would hope not if we're keeping it heterosexual. But if you're saying it's for the females, what is that saying about you as a brother? That you gotta have another penis shown in a picture for your woman, for your lady, for your spouse, for your boo, for your girl, for your significant other of the opposite gender than you. I don't need to show any pictures of any statue or any image of anybody else's penis to sit there and have it taught to my woman, and certainly not taught to my daughter, that this here is a sign of fertility, and that some people try to sit there and state a sign representing the fertility and attraction. Brothers and sisters, let it be known and understood. When a man and a woman is attracted to each other based upon genitalia, it ain't gonna work. That relationship is not gonna last. You understand? When your relationship is based upon penis and vagina coming together, she's getting moist and wet, if you may state, her vaginal walls are becoming lubricated, and if he is becoming erect, or what they call hard, and so forth and so on, if your relationship is based upon that, like some people try to sit there and state that the Egyptian god Men and the goddesses of Egypt said, oh, we like your perfection. If that is what you think perfection is, your relationship is asinine. Your relationship is garbage. Shalom.